The bioluminescent canopy dripped overhead, casting eerie blue-green shadows across the murky water that stretched endlessly in every direction. Bella stood waist-deep in the tepid liquid, her standard-issue environmental suit already showing signs of degradation after only 6 hours in the Verdian training zone. The suit's nanoweave was designed to last 72 hours in extreme conditions. She had 66 left. "Status report," Commander Vector's voice crackled through her neural comm, the Zelthari instructor's chittering undertones barely masked by the translation matrix. "Cadet Martinez reporting. 17 clicks into the designated zone. No sign of extraction point Alpha." Bella's voice remained steady despite the exhaustion creeping into her bones. Around her, the massive root systems of the Verdian megatrees created a labyrinth beneath the waterline, a maze that had claimed the lives of countless cadets from dozens of species. Leo's voice cut through the comm channel. "Chen here, 20 clicks northeast. I've located what appears to be a deliberate path marker, but it contradicts our initial briefing coordinates." Bella felt a slight smile tug at her lips. Of course Leo had found something. The man had an uncanny ability to see patterns where others saw only chaos. It was what had gotten him recruited into the Galactic Defense Initiative's elite training program in the first place, and what had made him the most controversial human cadet in the program's 3-century history. "Elaborate, Cadet Chen," Vector demanded. "The root formations aren't natural. Someone, or something, has been cultivating specific growth patterns. If I'm reading this correctly, they form a 3-dimensional map." Bella immediately began scanning her own surroundings with fresh eyes. The GDI had specifically chosen the flooded forest of Verdia Prime as their ultimate training ground, because it was supposed to be impossible to navigate. The water level fluctuated based on the planet's triple moon system, creating tidal patterns that defied conventional prediction. The megatrees released chemical cocktails that interfered with standard navigation equipment. And the native fauna, well, the less said about the aquatic predators lurking beneath the surface, the better. In the 2 weeks since the 40-species cohort had been dropped into this hellscape, 23 cadets had already activated their emergency beacons and been extracted. Another 4 were dead, their bodies recovered from the deeper channels where the current had swept them into crushing subterranean caves. The humans were supposed to have been among the first to fail. "Impossible," hissed Vector. "The flooded forest is a natural formation, unchanged for millennia." "With respect, Commander," Leo replied, his tone carrying that particular edge that Bella recognized as him about to prove someone spectacularly wrong. "I'm looking at deliberate agricultural engineering. The root patterns incorporate base 12 mathematical sequences. This is cultivated terrain." Bella ducked dove beneath the water, ignoring the immediate protest from her suit's integrity sensors. Opening her eyes in the murk, she activated her helmet's limited illumination. There, Leo was right. The roots didn't just grow randomly. They curved and intersected at precise angles, creating channels that flowed in specific directions. She surfaced, gasping. "Martinez confirming Chen's assessment. Commander, we've been looking at this wrong. The forest isn't trying to kill us. It's a puzzle." Static filled the comm for a long moment. Bella could imagine Vector's multiple eyes widening in his climate-controlled observation station, safe and dry, while his students struggled for survival below. "Explain your reasoning, Cadet Martinez." "Sir, humans evolved as persistence hunters. We don't have the speed of the Zelthari or the strength of the Bronthar. What we have is pattern recognition and the stubborn refusal to quit. We track, we adapt, we outlast." Bella began moving through the water with renewed purpose, following the root patterns that now seemed obvious. "Every species you've sent through here has tried to conquer the forest. We're trying to understand it." "The arrogance of your species continues to astound," Vector replied, but there was something in his tone, not quite respect, but perhaps a grudging curiosity. Leo's voice came through again. "Bella, If I'm right about these patterns, they're not just a map. They're a filtration system. The roots are directing water flow to create safe channels and dangerous zones. The whole forest is one massive engineered ecosystem. Which means someone built this, Bella said, the implications hitting her. Commander, with all due respect, what exactly is this place? Another long pause. When Vector spoke again, his voice carried a weight it hadn't before. You are the first cadets in 47 cycles to ask that question. The flooded forest was not chosen randomly. It is a remnant of the architect civilization, a species that vanished 6,000 years ago. They were the galaxy's greatest terraformers. This training ground exists because we believed that any species capable of surviving it deserved a place in the GDI. But you never told anyone it was artificial, Leo said. We did not. The point was to see who would adapt versus who would simply endure. Every other species has treated this as a survival ordeal. They fight the forest. They rage against it. They activate their beacons and retreat, or they die trying to muscle through. Bella was moving faster now, reading the root patterns like a language she'd only just learned to speak. How many humans are still active in the forest? All 12 of you. That stopped her cold. 12 humans out of the original 20 assigned to this cohort. Compared to the catastrophic failure rates of the other species, it was unprecedented. Why, she asked, what makes us different? Vector's response came slowly, as if he were choosing each word with care. You are the only species to enter the forest and immediately begin treating it as a teacher rather than an enemy. The Kralathi tried to burn their way through. The Selnari attempted to freeze sections. The Bronthar used their strength to tear apart the root systems. Every approach was confrontational. And we started taking notes, Leo said, and Bella could hear the grin in his voice. Precisely. Within the first hour, multiple human cadets were documenting water patterns, collecting biological samples, and comparing observations. You formed cooperative networks without being instructed to do so. You shared data freely even though this is technically a competitive evaluation. Bella thought about the neural comm channels she and Leo had established, the constant stream of information flowing between the human cadets even as they spread across the massive training zone. It had seemed natural, obvious, even. Humans had always been cooperative hunters, sharing knowledge to bring down prey no individual could tackle alone. The architects designed this place as a test of adaptability, Vector continued. Not physical endurance, though that matters, not raw strength or speed. They wanted to see which species could recognize intelligence in an unfamiliar form and learn from it rather than attempting to dominate it. Leo's voice crackled through. So when do we find the actual extraction point? There is no extraction point, Cadet Chen. There is only understanding. Once you comprehend the pattern fully, you will know how to navigate to the forest's heart. That is where this exercise ends. Bella looked around her watery prison with fresh eyes. Not a prison at all, a classroom. The fluctuating water levels weren't random, they were communicating something. The chemical interference wasn't defensive, it was informational. Every challenge had been an invitation to learn. We need to correlate our data, she said. All 12 of us. Compare what each person has observed in their sector. Over the next 6 hours, the human cadets engaged in the kind of collaborative problem-solving that had taken their species from caves to starships in a geological eye blink. They shared observations about tidal patterns, root formations, chemical compositions, and fauna behavior. They argued theories, tested hypotheses, and gradually assembled a complete picture of the flooded forest's design. The breakthrough came from an unlikely source, Cadet Rodriguez, who'd been documenting the forest's bioluminescent organisms. The patterns of light weren't just beautiful, they were a language, pulsing in rhythms that corresponded to the safe navigation routes. When Bella finally surfaced in the central clearing at the forest's heart, Leo was already there, along with 8 other humans. They were exhausted, their suits failing, their bodies pushed to the limit. But they were grinning. Commander Vector stood on a platform above the water. His 4 arms crossed in what Bella had learned was the Zelthari equivalent of profound respect. 12 humans enter. 12 humans complete the trial. In 3 centuries, no species has achieved this, he said. The galaxy has wondered whether humanity deserves its place among the stars. You have your answer. Bella looked at Leo, then at her fellow cadets. They hadn't conquered the flooded forest. They'd listened to it, learned from it, and adapted to it. That, she realized, was the most human thing of all.